Hey there, focused learners, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are looking at the absolute titans of the prehistoric world, the sauropods. You know them, the iconic, towering, long-necked dinosaurs that totally dominated Earth's ecosystems for over 100 million years. We are going to break down the actual peer-reviewed science behind their biology today, and let me tell you, looking at the latest data, what we know about them is so much stranger and way more fascinating than anything you've ever seen in the movies. So strap in, because we're counting down 10 mind-blowing facts about sauropods.
I mean, seriously, just think about it for a second. We need to start with the sheer biological impossibility of these creatures. People love to compare large land animals to elephants, but comparing a sauropod to an elephant is literally like comparing a Great Dane to a Chihuahua. We are talking about land animals carrying the mass of a modern-day blue whale on 4 legs. How on earth did their bones not just completely shatter under their own weight? And how did they possibly eat enough to survive? Let's kick off our countdown and find out.
Section 1. The Ultimate Land Giants.
Fact number 1 is all about the absolute upper limit of their weight. The largest sauropods, creatures like Argentinosaurus, reached an estimated maximum body mass of 80 metric tons. 80 tons! The crucial takeaway here is that they surpassed the largest land mammals and even all the non-sauropod dinosaurs by an entire order of magnitude. In the entire history of our planet, no other terrestrial animal lineage has ever even come close to this number.
When you compare them side by side, it's just laughable. They completely dwarf the African elephant, the giraffe, and even other massive heavyweight dinosaurs like Triceratops. Actually, fun fact, when the first sauropod bones were discovered thousands of years ago in ancient China, people genuinely thought they were the remains of mythological dragons, and seeing this sheer scale, you can completely understand why. They are absolute outliers in the animal kingdom. Fact number 2 is all about their length. Some of these guys could reach staggering lengths of up to 55 meters. Just to put that into perspective, that is more than half the length of an American football field. And what's really wild is that this makes them the longest known animals on record, tied only with this highly bizarre marine creature called the bootlace worm. They absolutely stretch the physical limits of terrestrial biology. Section 2. The Rapid Growth Secret. So, for a really long time, the assumption was that because reptiles generally grow super slowly, a dinosaur the size of a 5-story building must have taken a century or more to reach its full size, right? Well, it turns out that assumption is completely wrong. Fact number 3 is hidden deep inside their bones. When scientists actually look at the bone histology of sauropods, they don't see those typical growth marks you'd normally find in slow-growing reptiles. Instead, they find what's called fibrolamellar bone. This is unequivocal proof that their growth wasn't slow and cyclical. They grew at a highly accelerated, totally uninterrupted rate, which is actually very similar to modern large mammals like elephants. They were essentially racing to reach their massive size as fast as biologically possible. Fact number 4 highlights a pretty incredible timeline. This massive sauropod humerus bone, which was discovered in Thailand, dates all the way back to the late Triassic period. It's direct proof of early gigantism. See, sauropods didn't take 100 million years to slowly evolve to this massive size. The histology of this specific bone shows they figured out this rapid growth hack and became massive within just 15 million years of their evolutionary origins. That is a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms.
Section 3. Bizarre Eating and Digestion.
Fact number 5. Sauropods were what we call bulk browsers, and their skulls adapted in some truly bizarre ways to maximize their food intake. First, their skull bones developed these special plates to brace against the sheer stress of constant feeding. Second, their jaws widened significantly. But third, and honestly the most mind-blowing part, the fossil record implies they completely lost their cheeks. Without cheeks getting in the way, they could maximize their gape, basically acting like giant biological vacuum cleaners so they could swallow immense volumes of food whole with absolutely zero chewing.
Which leads us to fact number 6. Because they didn't chew and they didn't have grinding gastric mills, like the stone-filled gizzards that some birds use to grind up food, they had to rely on sheer volume. Their massive body size allowed for enormous gut capacities. This giant gut acted as a massive fermentation vat, providing the incredibly long digestion times needed to break down all that tough, unchewed Mesozoic plant matter. So, their gigantism was actually the key to their digestion.
Section 4. Built with bird lungs.
Fact number 7 reveals their ultimate biological cheat code. You have an 80-ton animal, growing rapidly, literally filled with tons of fermenting plants. Why didn't it just collapse under its own dense weight? Well, sauropods had an incredibly advanced bird-like respiratory system featuring a process called pneumatization. They had these complex air sacs connected to their lungs, and here's the crazy part. These air sacs actually invaded the bone tissue. Their vertebrae weren't solid, heavy blocks of bone. They were spongy and partially hollowed out by these air cavities, which significantly reduced their overall weight.
And these air sacs are exactly what allowed sauropods to evolve those iconic towering necks without tipping forward. Think about it. If those necks were made of solid, dense mammalian bone, the animal would be incredibly top-heavy and would just crash face-first into the ground. But by having highly pneumatized, super lightweight neck bones, they could sweep these massive necks over a huge feeding envelope, gathering maximum calories while expending very little energy to move their heavy bodies.
Section 5. Fossilized tracks and traces. Fact number 8 is a pure testament to their footprint. In places like Spain and Morocco, paleontologists have found fossilized sauropod tracks that measure a staggering 1.15 meters across. That is almost 4 feet wide for a single footstep. Just imagine the immense, crushing pressure required to leave a lasting impression of that size in the sediment. But fact number 9 goes way beyond just the sheer size. In South Korea, researchers discovered an incredibly rare trace fossil, a sauropod footprint that actually preserved a skin impression. Measuring 63 by 43 centimeters, this amazing find shows a highly unique polygonal texture right on the bottom of the sauropod's foot, giving us an unprecedented, up-close look at the literal soles of these giants. It's like a prehistoric fingerprint. Section 6. The Mystery of Mating. Fact number 10 addresses a total logistical nightmare and perhaps the most perplexing behavioral puzzle in paleontology. How exactly does a male sauropod weighing 80 tons, which is the equivalent of multiple fully loaded semi-trucks, safely mate with a female without entirely crushing her, or, snapping his own enormous leg bones under the immense, shifting weight?
If we look at the standard reptilian leg-over-back posture, demonstrated here by Stegosaurus, well, while this balancing act might work fine for a dinosaur with a much lower center of gravity, researchers point out that for a towering, 80-ton male sauropod to rear up on its hind legs on dry land, the mechanical stress would be absolutely terrifyingly precarious. One slip and it's game over.
Because of this massive problem, scientists have proposed what's known as the aquatic mating hypothesis. This is a super provocative theory, suggesting that the absolute largest sauropods may have waded into deep, submerged aquatic environments, like lakes or coastal waters, to mate. By utilizing the buoyancy and neutral gravity of the water, the male could safely support his massive 80-ton body weight without risking lethal bone fractures. It's a breathtaking image, really, of how animals will completely adapt their behavior to accommodate extreme biology.
And that brings us to the end of our countdown. Sauropods were the ultimate evolutionary success story. By utilizing hollow bones, massive fermentation guts, and incredibly rapid growth, they were able to absolutely dominate the Mesozoic era for over 100 million years. They pushed the absolute boundaries of what a living, breathing creature can be on this planet. So I want to leave you with this thought. If they achieved all of this, literally rewriting the rules of biology to become living mountains, what heights might they have reached if an asteroid hadn't cut their incredible story short? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.